continue.
Okay, so I told her I want you to set up a meeting between me, you, and the sheriff, and we're gonna go in there. I'm gonna tell him, hey, listen, you took all my shit unlawfully against the Fourth Amendment. You can't get away with this. I was like, I want to go in there and I want to threaten him. She's on my side, but she wants me to. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess I'll fucking see. But if I'm spending $10,000 fucking dollars, I better get what the fuck I want.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm a fucking Karen when it comes to that shit.
So we're gonna see if I get blasted off of YouTube. What is going on, everybody? Good to see you guys filling up the chats. I will be streaming on YouTube for you guys. Like, holy shit, he's still got a YouTube channel. Yeah, I got my strikes. Like, all the strikes have fallen off, so I'm good to go now. Actually, I might stream on here a little bit more, but I didn't want to get. It's a long story, but fuck, I'll talk about it later. Anyway, yeah, YouTube is up. Pilled is up. Rumble is up. Odyssey is up. You can find me anywhere there. YouTube's going to be funny because they specifically sent out like these things saying like you're not allowed to stream the debate, or you're allowed to stream it, but you're not allowed to have commentary over it, which is exactly what we're about to do. And yeah, I got a few friends with me. Got Rain Off, Tweak the Soldier, and want to fight about it. Fucking rolling her. Oh, hold on, I'm getting text messages. Oh God, dude, I lost my phone.
Can you keep passing?
I'll find it later. Yeah, so the way that I want to run this thing is I really just wanted a place where you could watch the debate. I don't want to talk over the debate. I don't want to. We're going to spend most of the time just kind of shutting the fuck up and letting these guys talk. And then, you know, during commercial breaks, we'll kind of say what we're thinking, and or if there's any lulls or whatever. But really, we're just kind of see how do they present it. And it's not only how they present it in the debates. It's like, how do they present the commentary? Because CNN is, I mean, the motherfucker's in the lion's den, right? CNN is going to twist this in a way to where it's going to make him look like shit. Even if he has a good point, they're going to be like, well, we fact checked it. I was like, oh yeah, how'd you fact check it? Well, we pulled up an article that we wrote, you know, and it's going to be shitty. But so that's going to be just as important as the debate, because it's not just about this debate itself, like what they're saying. It's how are they going to try to shit on him? Yeah, so that's sort of the plan. I'm
sure she's hanging out.
Let me turn this on. So what do you guys? So looking at Tweak Rainoff here. I don't know if Juana's in the chat anymore, but he's somewhere around here. What are you guys expecting to see here? How do you think this is going to go down?
A fucking shit show.
Yeah. I don't know how this plays out. This is just, I don't know. This is different from I've watched probably since, what was it? Bush and, who was Bush going up against? Yeah, Bush versus Gore. I've been watching the debates since about that time. So I don't know, because there's so much shit. I've never seen rules like this. You know what I'm saying? They're going to fucking turn off your mic.
The other thing is it's not the standard people who do the debates. This is a completely off the cuff, not establishment fucking debate. But with them muting Trump's mic, that's going to be fucking interesting. The muting of the mics back and forth when they're trying to answer questions. Dude, you think Biden's going to fall asleep, or you think they're going to have enough adrenochrome to fucking make it all the way through?
Oh, he's going to be full of Adderall and shit. Did you see the way he Sun Tzu'd him? So they were like, they're going to mute the mics, and he was like, he's like, well, okay, well then I think the way I'm going to debate is I'm just going to let him do all the talking. I'm just going to let him talk. I'm going to let him figure it out. I'm like, look at this art of war, motherfucker. I see you.
It's probably his best bet too. Because, like, he's either going to look like he's abusing an old man on stage, or they're going to cut his mic. Like, that's what's going to happen to Trump. So his best bet is to just let Biden do all the talking.
Yeah.
Like, give him enough rope to hang himself. That's what I'm expecting.
Better to keep your mouth closed and let everybody think you're a fool than to open your mouth and prove them correct. And that's a good plot, because then that's a way for to let everybody see what Joe Biden really is. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
451 in the background.
Yeah, but Biden's not gonna. As soon as the DNC convention comes up, they're gonna remove Biden as being the fucking nominee, which completely fucks up the whole nomination process.
Isn't that funny? Like YouTube is not streaming my shit right now. What's that about?
Oh shit. That occurs to me. They might
They know who you are.
Yeah,
they
it's
might
like
just do the oh sorry.
no, it's all good.
I was gonna say they might just do the political version of strapping a explosive vest to Biden's chest and sending him out there to take them both out, sort of thing. Because they're not planning on sticking with Biden, are they? So they'll
Nope.
sacrifice him if it means taking out Trump as well. So something spectacular could take place during this debate, Just
Dear YouTube, Red Dawn Radio is not
Hold on, let me see.
streaming the debate. He is having a chat with me, and I am watching the debate. So you can't violate him for me watching something because this is my screen.
okay.
There's always ways around things.
So you're taking the hit.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I got a channel on YouTube. It can eat my whole ass.
I asked the dudes if I'm streaming. No, not on YouTube. Oh, these fucking cucks. It says waiting for Red Dawn Radio at 8:30 p.m. I'm like, well, it's 8:30 p.m. right now. It's 8:37. Like, what is going on here? Why does that not work? You motherfuckers.
Do you have YouTube configured in your whatever your protocol for
Yep,
streaming out
for
is?
sure. Let me go double check that. But yeah, I do. I do, sir. I do.
Oh God, Chris Wallace, what a fucking twat! Didn't he get fired from CNN? Why do they keep? I bet you're going to see.
No, he got
Brian
fired
Stelter,
from
too.
Fox.
Yeah, no, but he was working for CNN. He was going to work for CNN.
Interesting.
Online.
So on my,
CNN+.
this is
Go ahead.
weird. Okay, so on my stream or my my restream, do you do restream Rainoff?
Not anymore, no.
Okay, on
I
my
have it.
restream, it's showing that I'm live on YouTube, and it's showing the YouTube feed. You know what I'm saying? But if I go to
Let me go to your
YouTube, I'm not there.
Let me bring it up.
Interesting.
That's very
So
weird.
the algorithm's blocking.
I don't know. I don't know.
Damn.
I know that. I mean,
Red
here,
Dawn
let
Radio.
me show you what I see.
Okay, latest from Red Dawn Radio. I got live 2024 presidential debate. I can't bring this over. Let me copy this.
Okay, hold on. So
Let me
look,
bring it over to this computer.
let me make that big. Oh, I guess you have to look this way. Hold on.
Sure.
I'm gonna
There.
share it. I'm gonna share it. Give me a second.
There you go.
Window.
I've got you live on YouTube right now, brother.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, I'm up.
Yeah,
All right,
look at my
fucking-
screen. I'm showing it.
Okay, good. That was weird. I don't know why it's not
You
showing.
might
up
not
on
be
mine.
sharing the Jitsi.
There's a chat too.
I don't know. Yeah, I see the chat moving.
Say,
Anyway,
Hey,
you might have to share the Jitsi to YouTube or
Yeah.
share
Oh,
it in
shit.
your own screen.
I don't give a fuck.
Guess who's
We're good.
not going to be over there? It's in my fucking name. Fuck
So what do you guys have any like not predictions, like these are, how do I say this, like bold predictions, like shit that probably won't happen. If you're like, look, if something crazy is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. I'll give you mine. This would be the time to fucking assassinate this dude, and I'll tell you why I think that. And now I don't think it's really gonna happen. This is what I'm saying when I say this. I don't think it's gonna happen, but you have this thing Ranger shared where it was like Harris Faulkner tweeted, alert, White House correspondents associates say CNN is keeping the press neutral pool camera out of tonight's presidential debate. WHCA states that WHCA is deeply concerned that CNN has rejected our requests to include the White House travel pool inside fuck, that's not the one. Anyway, and it has something to do with because of medical, like a medical injury or a medical emergency.
Yeah, I've got that
it didn't
story.
it didn't finish the whole thing. So I don't know, but I'm like, I know they want to kill him. Killing him live in front of everybody would be that'd be a message.
Here it is.
Biden just dropped dead on stage.
Oh yeah, dude, that would make sense too. If
See, that's
Biden
what I'm
drops
saying.
dead.
Gateway Pundit's got a story. It says, "Whoa, White House press corps forced to watch feed of CNN debate from building across the street because they believe there may be a medical emergency involving
that's
one
what I
of
was
the
looking
candidates
for.
requiring unseen coverage."
That's what I was looking for.
Now that would
what I
be
was
a hell
looking
of a
for.
way for them to remove Biden.
Fucking dude.
Yeah.
Me and 451
And
said
if they
something about
can
that earlier.
make Trump look bad in the process somehow, like if
like he
blame
just
it on
sits
Trump.
there and
Oh,
watches
Trump.
him die or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, he
something
didn't even
like
go to
this.
help him. Yeah.
Or if Trump runs over the stage to try and help him, they'll make out like Trump was attacking him or some shit. I don't know. Like, who knows with these people? The lies they've been telling so far are so fucking overt and blatant that they'll try and get away with anything.
Wow. CNN will implement a 1 to 2 minute delay for tonight's presidential debate instead of the standard 7-second delay.
So fake and gay.
Yeah,
So it's
for
all
sure.
fake and gay. It's all fake and gay.
Yeah, so I think they're going to do things. They're going to be. So here's the things we've seen in the past, like making a candidate look smaller by camera angles, making him look weaker by not having the microphones adjusted the same, giving them less time on the mic, stuff like that. Salty Matt Jameson? Yeah, he can come on in.
Just in case Biden's eyes have slid too far apart.
Hey, Salty Mad, you on? I'll let him pop on.
Salty man, he's muted. Hey, you're muted.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah, you want double audio? Give me a sec.
Damn.
Listen, motherfuckers, I'll show up muted and fucking won't.
There we go.
Yeah, so
I have a password.
Here's the rules, friend. When we're like this, we can talk all we want and shit, try not to talk over each other. But once the debate happens, everybody's got to shut the fuck up and let these dudes talk. We can't be talking over them.
I thought that was the whole key to streaming it, was talking over them.
Nope.
This important information needs to get out. People need to see this.
Yeah, I got to see it. We got to see it.
Everybody if you're watching me, I caught poison ivy while out on my little adventure. You go on my Pilled channel, you'll see what I'm talking about. My kayak adventure.
Hell yeah!
Caught a shit ton of poison ivy on my legs. What'd you say?
I get poison ivy on my legs all the time. My whole yard's covered in poison ivy.
I know, but I got some stuff from the VA, which is called triamcinolone, whatever. It's something fucking crazy, but it stops itching and smothers the poison ivy.
So you could have just went and got calamine lotion and done the same.
I could have done that, but I had to pay for calamine lotion. I just go to the fucking VA and make them give me stuff for free.
Yeah, you pay like
that's what they're
$3.
supposed to do.
Like $3.
I'm getting my motherfucking worth. Listen,
let it blister.
They got me blown up and made me half retarded. I'm gonna make them pay for everything. I'm getting my worth. Just saying.
Right. I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah. That's why it's just like, hey, listen, pay for these teeth. Thank you.
Pay for these teeth.
Personal opinion, if you get deployed, you should get every benefit under the fucking sun. But
well, you have to, but you only get dental if you're 100% declared disabled. 100%.
What?
Yep, they won't give it to you if you're 95.
Jacked up system. Like
their excuse is it's not your health.
It's just like being 65 and retired, and you can get full dental.
If your teeth rot out, you will die.
Yes, I try to explain it to him. Listen, if your teeth look shitty, you get depressed, and that ruins your entire your health.
What?
What? If you're depressed,
you don't smile as much.
When
if
you're
your
depressed,
teeth are shitty, you don't smile. Well, if you have self-respect.
You're full of shit.
Listen, I am full of organs, blood, water,
fucking,
and a lot of I had a lot of balls.
You only get depressed if you
Oh
fucking
man,
have
looks
a
like
damn-
Rumble may have shit the bed on me. What is going on here?
Water is mostly
This
bleach,
page is not
and
working
we
right
are
now.
mostly
Rumble-
water. Hence, we are bleach.
Rumble currently can't handle this request. Refresh. Why is that happening?
Why is this happening? Debate night. You
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
So
I
Rumble
just
Rumble
hate
has
it.
been acting fucking lame all day. I'm thinking they're under like super cyber attack.
Does he still have?
Which would make sense.
Listen,
Well,
I want
imagine the
everybody
number
to
of
know that I paid for CNN. I went and paid. I think it was actually HBO Max. I paid for HBO to watch this stuff. All right. And then we have Gateway Pundit in case shit. We got backups.
Yeah, Rumble's
I-
fucking gone. They nuked Rumble.
And we have the PBS if you really need a backup.
Rumble's nuking you?
Rumble's gone. The whole it's gone. The page is down.
Wow.
The page is down. This
Hold on,
page
let
isn't
me
working
look.
right now. Yeah, looks like Rumble nuked me.
Oh no, dude. Rumble
Actually, it's DNS connection because I'm still hot on Rumble, and I can't get to rumble.com anymore. So they're
So you
ping-
think it's a
somebody's getting ping-
cyber attack?
Yeah.
either
dude,
a
they took
cyber
it
attack,
down.
so they're getting ping flooded, or there's just so many people trying to get to Rumble right now in the 10 minutes up to the election that the servers just can't take that much traffic.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll pop back on or what, or if it's just down forever.
All right.
I'm still up on Odyssey's looking good. I think
me
Pilled is still good.
Do you want me to start my OBS and run on Pilled too, just so we have a backup?
Yeah, do whatever you need, man. I'm not trying to. I don't care. I'm not fucking trying to like go viral on this shit. I'm just trying to get it out so people can see it. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. I don't care what channel it's on.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be famous.
Okay, yeah, Rumble's toast. I'm still live watching John Ward, but can't chat.
Okay.
I
Yeah, it
can't-
looks
I
like
can't- I can't even get
and
to
this has
Rumble.
been happening all day. I just told Ranger about this. I was like, dude, I've been trying to create a stream on Rumble for 45 minutes, and then it created like 4 of them. I had to nuke a bunch of them, and then now it's doing this. Like, yeah, Rumble's just well, we will keep you. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll pop back up. I doubt it.
That's PBS. It's this. I wouldn't be pissed off if Max goes down.
I'm assuming this YouTube is going to get nuked too. So Rumble and YouTube, and then Pilled is probably going to be the most under the radar one. We'll see what happens. Odyssey's probably pretty good too. Patriots.win says DDoS attacks on Rumble. I knew that was going to happen. I fucking knew that was going to happen. Thanks, Mega Man. Good looking out, dog.
So probably
Information
gonna be-
warfare.
Actually,
Information warfare.
Amen.
What we're doing. And this is the craziest because we know this is. Someone asked me to pray for him. I'm going to give him a prayer before we hit this up, but we'll wait till it's closer to the time. But we see this happen. Like we know that we know that everything about this he's set up to fail. You know, I mean, CNN is fucking moderating, and you're like, and he still goes in. That's pretty fucking cool, dude. That's pretty cool. That's like some untouchable shit.
all right.
Yeah, but CNN's also been revamped. If you haven't noticed, a lot of what was going on with CNN, a lot of the people have been fired and fucking shit canned, and it's a different fucking flow that's happening right now with CNN.
Alex Jones streaming it on X. Nice. Everybody's streaming it. Well, I'm glad you guys in the chat are hanging out here. What a fucking good group of dudes. Thank you so much. And ladies. I'm glad we could provide some place for you guys to hang out. Internet's not a real place, but you're real people, and we're really hanging out. So
CNN, a lot of the people have been.
say again. A lot of people.
They just
What?
went dead.
Somebody had fucking Alex Jones playing in. That's what was going on there.
Bob knows. We're watching a really big movie production in the USA right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's what it feels like for sure.
Right. Oh fuck.
that's like one of the things that
Stop
we
doing
for.
Q
Do you remember
shit.
in the beginning of this whole fucking nonsense before it popped off, where it was like, it was like that's not the Oval Office, that's a soundstage, like
Right?
and it's like those guys are in masks, and it's like
You're a
all
conspiracy theorist.
and all that was real, like and then
Yeah.
people were like, well, it's because there's not a Faraday cage around the Oval Office, and he needs a Faraday cage, and all these excuses, but you're like, I don't know, man. There was a lot of crazy, weird shit in the beginning that was like, yeah, this is not real. This is definitely not the Oval Office. And even the things where it was like, how come like it doesn't say like president, it says like all the, I don't remember all the specifics, but there was a lot of weird shit in the beginning where you're like, yeah, this seems like there's some fuckery going on here.
Almost like it's just the continuity of government happening right now.
Something like that.
Possible.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah, good to see Pilled is up and running. Every now and then I hear 451 in the background.
Yep.
Going off.
Next time we'll get all these shows together.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And we'll have a big one.
I was excited though. Every time I'm hanging out with my dude, I get fucking excited, and then I'm not gonna lie, when that shit fell through at the last minute, I was a little heartbroken. I was like, oh man, I like hanging out with my buddy. It's all good.
See if I can't.
It's all good. Don't fuck with him. Just let him do his shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm not upset or nothing.
They're gonna go to their Lord and Savior January 6th. They're gonna do it tonight.
Yeah, I can hear him in the back.
Right.
This is the first time, because you know how Joe Biden likes. This is the first time since the insurrection that this thing has happened. You know what I mean? So that's probably gonna open.
He's multicasting.
Yeah, I know. He's got way more energy. I'm fucking chilled out. Like, he's so loud and shit. He's probably standing up or whatever.
Standing up, sitting down. That looks the same from over here.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I love short jokes. They're fun. I wish he was here so I could short joke him to his
Yeah,
face.
it's funny because I don't picture him as being short.
Nope.
Listen. If me and him were to walk out, we go to a lot of stores together, and I just laugh internally because I have a Luigi hoodie because my son loved Mario. So he dressed up for Mario as Halloween, and I had a hoodie that had the hood that had the Mario cap or the Luigi cap. It was green. And I just laugh when me and him go out because I'm tall and skinny. I'm 6'1", and he's short and he's chubby, and it's like a Mario Luigi combination for real. And every time we're at the store together, dude, I kind of just laugh. I just chuckle. I'm like, this is fucking funny. I hope he wears red one day, because if he wears red going out, I'm just gonna wear green.
Hell yeah. It's me, Mario. Fuck yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I tell you what, man, because anybody who knows or doesn't know, me and 451, we live together, and we homestead, and dude, we bust our ass off. He's got some pictures and videos, and we'll probably start something. The live streaming. I went and picked up some streaming glasses for my kayak adventure, so that way I could do that. And everybody can see from my perspective. But we're going to do that for the homestead and show everybody how to set up an aquaponics system. So that way you guys can literally become ungovernable. And you don't have to worry about fucking prices at a grocery store because you're growing your own shit. Making each other free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, boy. I think MAGA Matt gonna hop in this bitch. Give him the rules. Give him the ground rules. Let me do this real quick. We got 5 minutes left. I'm gonna pray for my dude real quick. Dudes in the chat asking for that. Lord, just give my man some wisdom and discernment, and I pray that you would crush his enemies, make him look awesome, make his enemies look stupid. Crazy time in this country, and I just ask that you would help us, and this would not be a time that makes us look bad, but instead is a time that galvanizes. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Don't got to be a long
Amen.
one. Don't got to be a long one.
Nope. I find that when other people are asking for other people, God tends to answer
Yeah, for sure.
favorably.
I think there's something to that.
Yep, selfless prayers
Yeah,
do a whole lot more than selfish prayers.
it's like
I
there's
found the whole lot through life.
there's like it's like an old story where like I don't know, you've probably heard it before, but it's like these people come from hell and they're like the guys from heaven and the guys from hell, they come talk to each other, and the guys from heaven are like, dude, what's hell like? And he's like, that's fucking horrible. It's horrible. They got these spoons that are so long you can't feed yourself, and you like dip it in the food, and you can't get the food to your mouth. And the people from heaven go, oh yeah, we got those same spoons, but we just feed each other with them. And I feel like prayers like that. You know, it's like
Right?
it's better when you are praying for other people.
Nice.
That being said, I pray for myself a lot. I think we all do, but yeah, I think you're right. There's like an extra, like a little more powerful.
I went from asking the Lord to do something for me. I went from asking that to, Lord, give me the courage to make it through this. Give me the strength to endure this.
Yep.
And it works a whole lot better. Like, as you can see, dude, I just my 42nd birthday was yesterday, and I have 0 gray hairs. Because that's just, I mean, you got to be grateful for the things you have. And even if God, like when he sent me to jail, he did that. It's, you know what I mean? I was grateful for the opportunity for him to give me humbleness to work in other people's lives. And that's why like Matthew 25, 35 through 45 is one of my favorite parables, sort of one of the teachings. And I like 451 likes to say, I keep in contact with a lot of those guys from in jail. And I was telling them about the law and about God while I was in there. So
Yeah,
it's just
dude,
funny.
like half the New Testament was written from jail, man.
Right? God puts you in the positions that he does because he wants you to fight those battles for him in those spots that he puts you. So you just can't be mad about it. Otherwise, you keep fighting him. You're gonna grow old, angry, and your body's gonna stop working.
Faux show.
Yeah.
Where we at time wise? We about to kick this bitch off in what, 2 minutes?
Presidential debate, 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's coming up. So I think what they're probably gonna do is like here's what I said offline. I'll kind of say it online too. One of the things I hate about these debates is they're not debates. They're more like your like how you present yourself, or you know how you kind of held the stage. But it's not as though, because normally if you're like in a high school debate or a college debate, you will like debate on abortion, and then someone will make their initial claim, and then there'll be a rebuttal, and then there'll be an answer to the rebuttal, and you'll stay on topic, and you'll keep the issues, and these debates are never like that. They're always like, well, you suck, and you're a pedophile, or you went to jail, and you're an insurrectionist, and it's like they're not really debates. They're I don't know what the fuck they are. They're like just throwing shit at each other, and they're kind of like a That's what I get really. Every time I see one of these, I get fucking angry because I'm like, none of you actually addressed the issue. None of you actually defended your position on why this is better and why does your position suck versus, and you'll see some of that, but most of the time, if you pay attention, it's just going to be shit talking. It's like, well, I'm not going to take that from somebody who has what about the Hunter Biden laptop? What about that? And you're like, that has nothing to, like, Trump, I love you, but that has nothing to do with the question, dude. And anyway, it's good. I'm going to be frustrated. I get frustrated every time because I actually enjoyed real debates, and politicians don't know how to do that, apparently.
They don't.
Yeah, they can't stay on topic.
Well, I mean, shit. All of the I don't even know what that is. All of the debates previously, they've always talked about things that really don't mean much, and then they would never answer the questions, and nobody ever held them to account.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
All of the previous debates through the 90s and the early 2000s were just two figureheads of the same bullshit
It was a
corporate
group.
cabal. So it seemed like they were debating each other, but they really weren't. Now they're actually going at each other because we're primarying the shit out of them. We're actually forcing some kind of discourse.
Looks like it's
I
going.
think we're live.
Here we go.
Hey, you guys. Can you hear?
We're live from Georgia.
Yeah, it turned up a little bit.
State in the race for the White House. In just moments, the current U.S. president will debate the former U.S. president as their party's presumptive nominees, a first in American history. We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world to our
Pop it up just the hair.
This is the CNN presidential debate.
This debate is being produced by CNN and is coming to you live on CNN, CNN International, CNN.com, CNN Max, and CNN Espanol. This is a pivotal moment between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job
Do you have it set to 30 frames?
Debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. President Trump will be on the left side. President Biden will be appearing
when you
on
share
the
screen, or no, go to settings.
Their position.
Three buttons.
Each will have 2 minutes to answer a question.
Yeah, I'm in there.
And 1 minute for responses and rebuttals.
No.
An additional minute for follow-up clarification or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate
go to settings,
his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone
and then
video and scroll all the way down. You'll see desktop sharing frame rate.
30 frames.
Where's that at?
At the end of the debate,
Go to the 3 dots.
we'll get 2 minutes for closing statements.
Go to video
There's no studio
and fucking just scroll down.
Notes, props, or contact with campaign staff not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate,
that looks clean.
And their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden.
It's a bit of a delay. Are you guys seeing a delay from the audio to the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there is a delay. Tweak, unshare and reshare. Did you change your setting? Stop sharing and reshare.
How's that?
We'll see.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems, that we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you had to take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price of around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, the bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cause countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before. and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut, benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was, an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided, supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who be raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have, everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers, significantly. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person coming in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed three people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, and every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking, it's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right. Thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine, never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything, no money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv, and he in fact didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done, and they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never said that.
For 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people, and he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any, they were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting you got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. Are you going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there, with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him those first two debates we had, the debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing to, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. Well, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give your minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? And this is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out, because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that story. He just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Yeah, mute that shit. We got a lot to talk about.
Okay, what the fuck? Are you guys there?
Yep, I'm here. You hear me?
What the fuck?
Where'd everybody go? Do you guys, hey, turn off your mute. It's the first commercial.
This was unbelievably jacked.
Okay,
Come
this
on.
is almost
Did
sad
everybody
to
walk away?
fucking watch, guys.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. So
wait, my bad.
one of the tough things is like nope, hold on.
There we go. My bad.
Yep, all good. Nope, not all good.
No, we're good. I can hear you. You can hear me.
But he's echoing.
Who?
With
who?
I am as well.
Okay.
I'm not echoing in my head.
Then you're probably the problem.
Say unshare and then reshare tweet. There you
Can
go.
you guys hear me now? How's this?
Yeah,
All
no
right,
echo.
I'm gonna go to share.
Am I still echoing? No.
Nope.
No, you're
Fuck
good
yeah.
now.
Okay, here we go.
What about now?
Sweet.
Yep.
We're good.
So first
All
thing, dude, there's the different Biden characters. That's the one with the butt chin. It's not Biden.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's first thing I noticed.
And the ears are fucking massive. Did you see the size of them?
Yep.
They're huge.
I hate that he. One of the things that drives me crazy, and I knew this was going to happen, but it's like Trump will drop facts and he'll be like, "Those are all lies. Those are all lies," and you're like, "I wish there was a way to fact check, like you were saying, Tweak."
That's what the moderators are supposed to.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
They're
not doing anything like that. I mean, we could. Afterwards, we can go back over all of this. I got to go lock up some chickens here in a minute.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's what's going to happen all week, right? All week, Twitter, Gab, fucking Truth Social is going to be debunking all that shit.
Well, shit, we can do it live right afterwards because I can just rewind it.
Yeah,
and we can go over certain shit if you want.
Yeah, no, I don't.
He's like, "Fuck no, it's getting white."
I don't want to watch this twice.
No, I do. I want to watch this and go over it and be like, "Are you fucking kidding? Dude, have you been seeing my reactions?"
No, no, it's fucking crazy, dude. It's pure nonsense. What's
the fucking faces that Biden makes are fucking
the
ridiculous.
face.
I think he's
mumble off gibberish that is
oh my.
Yeah, I think he's got like a thing where he he's trying to respond, but his mic is muted. I'm actually a fan of the muted mics. I think it's made for a better back and forth debate. You normally don't see the debates normally are just a shit show of screaming over each other. So this is actually easier to listen to.
It's that, but fucking Biden's not making any sense when he says some shit, and fucking the fact that Trump doesn't bring that up and be like, what did he just say?
Yeah, he did that one time.
Or call him the fuck out.
Yeah, he did that one time. Like, I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he just said.
Yeah, but he's not continuing to be like, listen, what he just said is the most insanely idiotic thing I've ever heard. At no point during his, you know what I mean?
What this looks like is they sat down and told Trump he had to act restrained to be able to fucking scoop in the last few people who are still on the fence.
Yeah.
And who are like, oh my God, I don't like that guy because he's so too outrageous. This looks like them trying to present him.
They're back.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, they're not talking. They don't give a shit.
First terms, and you'd certainly face again the second term. President Biden, while Black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, Black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and Black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small Black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of Black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're providing housing for Black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that Black families have to make relative to childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce Black childcare costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for childcare costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those childcare protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any Black family first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those Black families and those Black individuals who provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest was forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for Black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the Black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking Black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking Black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, if the ACA has increased, I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump, almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You have 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water. He hadn't done a damn thing with the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change. And he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion. And China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything? We're not able to, the United States can't get its under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
so every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is we're in a situation where we talk about education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 towards their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody, number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One from best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did for virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you. And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more, because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that we're importing. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden.
Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs, because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't, because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him, because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dan?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. The whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those who he cuddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, who he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's it. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is. And take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you can carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest rival. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn
Let's not act like children.
to a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful peace because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this with, he's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked.
President Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
All right.
I am so shocked Trump did not hit him.
Yeah.
You guys here?
Yeah, you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Am I muted? All right, good.
Hello.
Yeah. A lot of people appreciating right now that we're not talking over this. I don't know what the other guys are doing, but
my bad.
But yeah,
I have to mute this tab, the Jitsi tab, so it doesn't bleed through and echo.
All good.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm back.
Dude,
that's fucking nuts.
He almost flashed on him when he brought up golf, huh? He's like, you motherfucker.
Dude, I've seen old Vietnam vets go fucking crazy like that. I mean, that's the only people I've seen go crazy like that. He's just talking about fucking golf and whoa.
He's like, oh, hell no. That's the biggest lie he's told. Golf, that's hilarious. Yeah. It's hard because there's so much crazy shit being said. You're like, okay, where do I even start to break this down?
The last part, Biden calling him a whiner.
Yeah.
All right, I do want to point out that while Biden was talking about he made a deal with Samsung to bring chips back, Trump was working on a deal for chips to come into America back into America through the guys that do AMD, MicroStrategies, that's it. But the thing with Samsung, most of the workers that they're bringing in to build the fucking plants and to work it, they're not going to be Americans.
Yep.
They're going to be bringing their own guys in to fucking work those chip plants from wherever Asian country they're out of. That's the problem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I want to go back to, I donated the gold pills specifically because I wanted to. How the fuck does Biden know that Trump has more legal shit coming? He made that fucking threat.
Yeah,
look at all the stuff he's going through. Oh, just wait, there's more. Wait. How the fuck do you know that? You just foreshadowed something and said you know of something. Fuck that. How do you know that? How do you know that?
I actually didn't even catch it till you hit that.
I didn't catch
that gold pill, and I was like,
"Oh,
that's interesting." Yeah.
You know, it was 91 indictments total that Trump had. They had fucking going over with Trump. It looks like the court session down in Miami, or in not Miami, but here in Florida. That shit looks like it's going to be fucking tabled for a long fucking time, especially since Smith wasn't actually supposed to be a special counsel.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but he just said there's more to come. You're not getting that. That's already out there. We already know about Jack Smith. We know about Fannie Willis, and we know about Alvin Bragg. All right. He just said there's more coming. Oh, believe me, there's more coming. But
you're also going by Biden. Biden doesn't even know he's
it doesn't matter.
He's pretty full of shit.
Now the next time something comes, watch, there's going to be something else. There's more coming. That's just enough to fucking prove that he knows about it. And that's suppressing or oppressing his opponent. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, I think I don't know about suppressing or oppressing the opponent, but
coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along, or it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Wasting my fucking time. Don't want to listen to that shit. Yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
So the way I look at it so far, because we're looking at the debate, who won the debate. it's not a real debate in the way like we were talking about, like a high school debate where you have facts and shit. Because the way it's going to be presented, there's going to be three audiences. There's going to be the Trump audience, who will say, is paying attention to what's going on, say, okay, Biden is full of shit. He's lying, which was just lie after lie after lie. Biden's group is going to be like, well, Trump is lying, lying, lying. That's going to be, you're never going to persuade those guys to our side. But then if you're looking at the third group coming in, and maybe they don't know like the facts, they don't know who's lying, who's telling the truth, they're going to be confused. But just going off the appearance of what you're looking at, Trump was like more coherent, speaking clearly. Biden, he looked like there's times where in between he was speaking, he'd fall asleep. He like looked down for these long periods of time. I'm like, it looks like he's fucking sleeping, dude. Someone pointed out that, Biden was really the one who resulted to the name calling. That's never a good look. And I think in that term of the fucking 15 undecided voters in the country right now, that was going to pull them. I think they're pulled more towards Trump, just by the way that he carried himself versus the way Biden carried himself. What do you guys think about that?
Was anybody paying attention to Trump walked himself off the stage? Joe Biden stood there until Jill come out to give him a hug, and then had to hold his hand and then try to walk him down the stairs. And he kind of took it like an old ass man, and then came out and shook the hands of Dana Bash and Fake Tapper. Did you see that? I'm sorry, you were talking, and I was
looking at the chat.
While God, he looked like a fucking geriatric old man. What the fuck?
Well, he is a geriatric old man.
I mean,
yes, RDRI.
Oh my God.
Fucking in agreement with you. The three different sections. One side's gonna say Trump won. One side's gonna say fucking Biden won, and then the middle is gonna be like, we don't fucking know, because the basis of what they did was, I don't know, it was decent for what we've watched presidential debates normally.
Yeah.
Say this was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing.
Considering
the mic thing was a good idea.
But then on the other hand, a lot of what Biden said there at the end is shit that's already happening. Trump fucking originally put in the $35 insulin. Biden came in and took it, fucking removed that fucking order, and then fucking supposedly renegotiated with the pharmaceutical companies. No, that shit was already in place. Fucking beyond that, the health care for older people, they already have that. It's called Medicare fucking plan A, B, and C.
Yeah, you could go through.
There's just a lot of what he was talking about he wants to do. Well, he's had it's going on 4 years to have already got those done. And he's just fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? This was sad as fuck to watch. This should be.
Yeah. It was kind of low energy type.
Hold on there. I'm getting news from Ranger saying that CNN's destroying Biden right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ranger's probably on point with they're just gonna replace Biden tomorrow.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, unmute it.
He did score a bunch of points on issues like abortion, for example, on some of the economic issues. But there is a feeling. I think there was a sense of shock, actually, how he came out at the beginning of this debate, how his voice sounded. He seemed a little disoriented. He did get stronger as the debate went on, but by that time, I think the panic had set in, and I think you're going to hear discussions that I don't know will lead to anything, but there are going to be discussion about whether he should continue. And I think part of it is Donald Trump did not meet his mission either. He could not resist the temptation to be nasty, to prevaricate about a whole bunch of things.
I think he did.
About Biden's
I think he did resist.
And seem petty and small at times. So what you saw was a candidate who's deeply vulnerable and a president who may not be able to.
He just pointed out that Trump was talking about Biden's record and saying that was dirty.
Being an okay debate by Joe Biden. I'm living in a parallel universe. That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out to the closing statement. The biggest issue for Democrats is abortion, and he couldn't give an answer. He gave an answer he couldn't even give a coherent answer on the biggest issue for Democrats tonight. I've heard
they're burning him down.
Leading Democrats across the United States, elected governors, congressmen who are texting me and saying, "I'm worried I'm going to lose if Joe Biden's at the top of the ticket."
Yeah.
Bob Casey, I promise you tonight, in the state of Pennsylvania, is thrown up in his mouth because he knows that if he's got to stand next to Joe Biden, he's going down in Pennsylvania. If he's on the ticket, I don't know how it's going to work.
For the amount of water all of these news stations
Joe Biden, I don't think there's any other way that his biggest issue that he had to prove to the American people was that he had the energy, he had the stamina, and he didn't do that. And so I think that is of concern. And
this was all planned all week.
That's very disappointing.
We're going to get the replacement real soon.
Had some really rough moments in this debate, and talking to the Biden
campaign, Hillary or Harris.
Their dials started really moving.
It won't be Harris.
Increasing his personal attacks on Biden. So I think there was a lot about his kind of character.
Could be Newsom. Remember we started this with Newsom.
Putting on display.
Yep.
That doesn't help him with the swing voters that he needs.
Which name is it? The 25th?
Saw him continue to get more and more animated across the course of the debate, and give some really problematic answers about January 6th, some really problematic answers about Putin. So Donald Trump did not get off scot-free tonight by any stretch. But look, there is no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben? That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And he looked,
wow.
I'll give you the analysis. You kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man.
Oh shit!
He loves his country.
Here
comes
the part where they put
he had a
Yeller
test to
down.
meet tonight.
Are they gonna cry?
Restore confidence
He's gonna cry.
of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our
there it is.
Yep.
And there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that.
Yeller down.
But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden. Personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain of what we saw tonight.
Oh, no.
And if I may just add to that, I think Joe Biden lost in the first 3 minutes. I think a lot of voters probably tuned out, and millions of people are having conversations with their families, with their friends, of if the president is up to the task and if he should step aside. And I'm someone who believes the former president is a threat to democracy. I think he is a threat to the America as we know it. He wants to fundamentally change our institutions. He has laid out what his plan is. I am not confident that that is the man to take him on. You cannot tell me democracy is on the line and then give that performance tonight. If based on that, in 18 weeks, Donald Trump will be the president-elect.
The people doing focus groups tonight, and we'll see if our dial group.
Do you think that's why they started this thing with Gavin Newsom?
Issues when he's talking about the substance.
Yes, exactly why they started it with Gavin Newsom.
Lying about some things, and he was refusing to answer.
He's young.
So when you see that, when you see sort of the statistics, you're going to look at like, oh, that's a mixed bag. But to Vance's point about the president's performance, that's what caused the panic. So the question is, and my question actually is, what happens? Because to it's a great political strength of Joe Biden is his resilience and his stubbornness. It's also sometimes a blind spot because he is so stubborn. It's going to be very hard to someone, and I don't know who it is, who could go to Joe Biden and say, you need to do this, number one. And the question is, again, like, I'm just telling you, to Abby's point, I've been doing this for 30-something years, going on 40 years, and I have never, ever had what happened on this thing tonight happen in the middle of the debate. It started early, and it continued. And to Van's point, Van made a very important point. These are people who love Joe Biden, who credit Joe Biden for kicking Donald Trump out of the White House. They're Democrats. The Democratic Party is a very diverse party. It fights about a lot of things. It has generational issues. It's had regional issues and everything else. The thing that unites the Democratic Party is trying to keep Donald Trump from getting back into the White House. They love Joe Biden for kicking him out. They don't want him back. They came into this debate nervous that Biden was in a weak position. They leave this debate panicked.
John, if you love the guy, how could you put him out there? If you love him, if you love Joe Biden, if that was my father, you don't put a guy in that situation.
It's a great point. These guys know this better. These guys know this better because they talk to them. There's this legacy in the Democratic Party. You don't challenge the incumbent because when it's happened in the past, they haven't beaten the incumbent, and then the incumbent has lost the general election.
It was actually Donald Trump that helped make Joe Biden the nominee because there was a feeling that if there were a primary, that would weaken, that Biden would probably win, but it would weaken him in a general election. And so there were people who could have run and didn't run because
the entire panel is trying to kick him off this fucking ticket right now.
The Democratic Party. This isn't the 60s. Okay, voters choose the nominee. He is the nominee. Only he can decide whether he's going to continue. And as you point out, and as Kate knows very well, this is a guy with a lot of pride and who believes in himself. And the idea that he can say, you know what, I have that debate, I think I'm going to walk away from this. I find it hard to believe.
It was also an, and I'll let you, I know Scott, you can try to jump in. It was also, it was an atypically bad performance. Okay. And it was also an important night. Yes, but it was one night in the course of a campaign. So I think let's see how voters react to it.
The problem with the one night is that it's a one night that helped confirm people's fears. It's the one night that everybody was watching. That was essentially, Trump said, you ought to take
let's pause this. Let's mute this real quick.
And people are going to feel that he came up wanting, not on the substance.
So we get the point. The point is they're all going to fucking blast him and take him down. So
controlled demolition.
Yeah, for sure. And that makes a lot of sense now because there was a lot of times where he was like I said, it's like, dude, he's like falling asleep. And it's almost like it was every time he would stop. Yeah, exactly. It's like he's doing it on purpose, and that's why I was like, dude, notice how he's like fucking basically going to sleep right now. That's crazy. And it all makes sense now. Yeah, this was to take him out so they could put somebody in. We're guessing Gavin Newsom. We're guessing. I think Hillary Clinton's on the table still.
There are 9 Democrats on that panel who are just flaming. Dude, they haven't fucking denounced or said that one bad thing about Donald Trump. They just fucking literally have just ripped into. Dude, it's like I said earlier, controlled demolition, just like on 9/11.
100%. Yeah, so Wyatt Gunner goes 9/11 equals Joe Biden. Yeah. That's what happened. They're fucking nuking him.
Pull it.
Nice, dude. Well, fucking interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting. I'm not sure.
When you asked in the beginning, what do you see? I said, I don't know. It's going to be pure chaos. It kind of was, but I didn't see that. I didn't see CNN just fucking it. And that's not at all. 451 said it was Politico too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely this definitely came out of left field. Because we're all sitting there going, no, CNN is like hooking this up to fuck up Trump, and he's behind enemy territory. And then to see this, like, I don't think anybody saw this coming.
That's why I'm saying, man, I don't know what's going to happen.
Hang on, we did see this coming.
Someone did say this.
Well, they said that he would die on stage. Because we were going through they were. That's what we said.
Oh my God,
he kind of did. He kind of did die on stage, but that's not what we like. We weren't meaning that.
Listen, you know what? We've said it. And we've danced around the bush. All right. I don't care. I don't believe in fairy tales and shit like that, and conspiracy theory, whatever. But the Q thing, I'm kind of whatever. But how do you say in the 10 minutes or less that we watched CNN, they've said panic twice?
Yeah.
And then all this other bullshit with the Q, and I'm just like, you sons of bitches, stop that. Fuck. There's panic in DC. For fucking real. And that's why I said I don't gamble. The only thing I won't go to I'll stay at a casino, but I won't put any money down. I'm not gonna lose real money unless I know for sure that it's something I can win. And I guarantee you they're gonna 25th Amendment this motherfucker.
It makes sense. It makes sense since they already have the remember that there was already like they already made the claim he he can't go to trial because he's senile.
Yep.
I do want to give credit where credit is due. Ranger did call this before the debate
go.
started. He did actually fucking call this.
What'd he say?
Exactly this. He said they're going to use this to fucking get him out and replace him. He did actually call this shit like pretty fucking solid. Good job, Ranger. Well done, dude.
Here?
Yeah, he's in there. Yeah, he's blowing up the chat like motherfucker. I saw this coming.
Odyssey?
Yeah, he's an Odyssey. Yeah. He did call this 100%. This is exactly what he said was going to happen. So, yeah,
I have to bring Odyssey up on this.
That's why I wanted to have him on the panel.
I know, but he fucking was a cuck.
Yeah, he's cuck.
My wife won't let me.
We've been talking about this for fucking.
I'm a fucking ranger.
My wife won't let me do a transfer.
Fucking Red Dawn radio show.
No.
We've been talking for 2 or 3 months about how they were going to change him at the fucking Democratic debate. They wouldn't let Kennedy in any of the fucking election, any of the primaries.
Mm-hmm.
Stop him from being
they
in
were
any of them.
primary him.
And then
I really expected them to primary him.
And now it's fucking. This is just
So if we're looking at this, this is a fascinating situation here because you have who were thinking Gavin Newsom, and the only reason that comes up is we've been thinking Gavin Newsom for a while. He's been on the conversation for a minute, and it just so happens he interviewed before this, and you're like, okay, well there's that connection. But then you also have Kamala Harris, who's going to be finishing out and maybe running with him, who's also from California. And you look at California policies. Remember California, Xi Jinping came through California and they raised
him. Yeah,
they fucking venerated him like he was the fucking god emperor, dude.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, and you're like, oh shit, okay. It's like one Manchurian candidate has been found out, has failed, so they're replacing with another Manchurian candidate.
Now,
dude, the fact that Trump called him a Manchurian candidate, fucking gangster. That was my favorite part of the debate. Yeah, he's like, you're owned by China. Yeah.
As far as with Kamala Harris, she was dead in the water to begin with. She was only put there as the token.
Yeah.
Dude, you remember when she ran and fucking got
1%?
Yeah. She lost, and then she became the vice president.
I'm gonna drop out, but I'm gonna be vice president.
She was dating Montel Williams, and he had to introduce her out to people.
All right, there are 2 people in here that were in the military, and I'm just gonna say this, and you're gonna back me up or not. Listen, most of the time in the army, women got their rank because they sucked dick. It wasn't because they're fucking special or overachievers.
What? That's crazy.
Females got ranked.
It's not because they're girl bosses?
Okay, maybe not just suck dick. I'm
So
just saying.
yeah, I wouldn't say most of the time, but it was pretty common.
Yeah, I was in field artillery, so that's combat arms, and all combat arms, I always seen these females. Listen, I was in the middle of Iraq, and I seen a captain walking out of the command sergeant major's fucking chew. All right. And I was just like, and she's dumb. And I'm just like, you fucking cunt. You fucking cunt. Most of the time, there's a few women that get there on merit, but most of the time when they go high ranking, Kamala Harris is one of those people who got there fucking because Montel Williams made her famous, that Mayor Williams, Willie Brown was banging her and made her a mistress. So she got some power because there's blackmail, and bam, she just became Attorney General of fucking California. And now she's vice president and nobody fucking likes her.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the fucking
no merit. You can't fucking have an intelligent conversation with her. I bet you she couldn't out lawyer me. All right. That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm getting to. Kamala Harris is one of those high ranking female officers in the army. And then when you talk to them, they're fucking retarded. And then you realize, oh, that's how you got here.
Yeah, they would do things where like they wouldn't even. This is what's fucked up about the army is like if you even accuse somebody of sexual misconduct, even if it's found later that not to be true, the fact that the accusation came you're fucking barred from promotion. It's on your permanent record. Even if it's like, that was a fucking lie. Doesn't matter. As soon as the accusation comes, career's over. So all they have to do is say, hey, promote me, or I'm going to say that you fucking raped me, or I'm going to say that we had an affair, or I'm going to, and it's like, okay, there you go. And it's fucking crazy. But yeah, I think that, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's what I didn't see this going like this. I thought it was going to be, I thought they were really going to try to railroad Trump. This is a very, this is interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to go back in and listen to what they're saying?
Yeah, let's hear what they're saying. Yeah.
This and see what they say, right? Let's look at the dialogue. Let's look at where they are next week. We can make our pronouncements, but ultimately voters have to absorb it.
Turn your mics off, guys.
Real quickly, on the one thing that that Biden did fact check him on the Charlottesville thing, he was completely wrong. Right, so he's up there talking about Charlottesville and Trump not denouncing the two sides, and Snopes was out last week. 7 months ago.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that whole thing was a fucking setup for this. Holy shit! No wonder they came out.
We're gonna more with the panel out here. A lot.
I always see why Trump and their team agreed with fucking doing this.
Talking about perhaps a single defining one as well. This one early on.
This was set up from way back.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the. With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look.
Oh my God.
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. Wow. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Oh my God.
That was one notable moment early on. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron.
Played that.
That's right. That was a moment, I'm sure, Anderson, that you...
Why is Anderson Cooper's glasses
I panel people around the country. That was a painful moment to watch. It was early on in the debate, and Audie, Caitlin, and Chris are here. It was very early on. Chris, it seemed from that moment, that was it.
Oh, God. Let me hear it.
I think it was even before that moment when he first started speaking, President Biden, and that the raspiness, the hoarseness in his voice. That was at 9/11, and there were several minutes when Jake and Dana were setting the rules. So it's got to have been less than 10 minutes into the debate. And he totally lost his train of thought and ended up saying Medicare just out of the blue.
They're literally making a list for the Democrat normies.
We've heard so much from the other panel about the reactions to this. I think ever since, and I've had this conversation so often, that after the midterms, if Joe Biden, after a remarkably successful first 2 years and a remarkably successful midterm for a first-term president, had said, I'm the transitional president, and I'm moving on and sending it to another generation, but he was unwilling to do that, and Jill Biden was unwilling to do that, and ever since then we have been.
I'm just as you're saying that, I'm only interrupting you, Chris, because that is a watch party. That's live right now. Joe Biden is joining her at the watch party she was at in Atlanta. Obviously, a response that does not match what seems to be the broader response. That they're cheering for him right there, as you can see.
Well, they weren't watching CNN.
Do we want to watch that, or
no? We don't have to.
Okay, we're not. Anyway, I was just going to say that the two of them decided after November of 2022 that he was going to seek the presidency when there were so many people who thought he should have turned it over to a new generation, and this has been, quite frankly, a car accident in slow motion that we've seen over and building and questioning it. And, as has been pointed out, Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative. Yep. And he did change the narrative. He sunk his campaign to that.
And we're in the spin room right now. This is where the surrogates and allies of the campaign come to spin their candidates' respective performances, and it is going to be an immense challenge for Biden surrogates. We have Governor Gavin Newsom here, and also Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock in the back of the room. There are Trump campaign aides in here as well. No reporters are talking to them. Every reporter in here has just swarmed the two Biden surrogates that are inside this room. And I think what I'm most struck by after listening to that entire performance and talking to the Biden campaign officials and covering President Biden myself his first 2 years in office was part of his closing statement there, he made no mention of abortion or Donald Trump's felony conviction. The two things that they have talked about the most, the fact that that is the biggest contrast between President Biden and former President Donald Trump, obviously the felony conviction, but also what they've done on reproductive rights and the fact that 3 of the justices who helped overturn Roe versus Wade were put on the Supreme Court by former President Donald Trump. But on January 6th itself as an issue, Donald Trump lied about January 6th. He downplayed his own role, and he also claimed that police officers were ushering people in that day. They've testified they were actually overwhelmed and outnumbered, and that is why people were able to get into the Capitol that day. And President Biden, who delivered an address on the anniversary of January 6th and said that Donald Trump was holding a dagger to the throat of democracy, did not seize on that moment and did not take that.
So can I just for a moment, because we can hear him, and this is happening right now. So I just in this moment, he's at a watch party. They're cheering 4 more years. He's speaking. What I'm curious about, okay, is does he know how bad this was at this moment? He walked out to his aides. Does he know? And we can hear him a little bit on the mic.
If he doesn't know, that's more alarming than anything. You know, he's not the first president who's had a really...
Since we can hear it, why don't we listen to a little bit of it? Okay.
Nope, they want us to listen.
North Carolina. All right.
Yeah, I'm down to listen.
They want us to listen to something.
Thank you. I want to go home with you. Thank you.
Oh shit, he's already lost on the stage.
All right, so there he is. Thank you, thank you. The rousing applause going to that party.
Okay, he wasn't
he's going home with
vibrant or vigorous inside the debate body.
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally, I think a lot of Americans saw Donald Trump they recognized tonight, right? His mannerisms, his quickness in his response, and as you talked about, lies and information that was incorrect. Unfortunately, they also saw a Joe Biden maybe they don't recognize. This is not the person who was quick on his feet or fast to parry or to respond quickly to misinformation, to respond quickly to lies.
He hasn't been that Joe Biden in a long time. This
well, I mean, my comment was it.
Yeah, that's crazy. They have that's different than what they've been saying for fucking years.
You know, before I went into this conversation, I thought about the idea of infirm versus unstable, and I think that Joe Biden did not do enough to mitigate the idea that he is infirm, and Donald Trump was able to mitigate looking unstable. When I think about how he talked about abortion, for instance, trying to show that he was not extreme in some way. I know people are pointing out his lies tonight. That is also something that Joe Biden was to be doing in a more effective way and did not. And so it's sort of hard to be here now and say, this is was said and that was said. Like, that's your job on the stage to also jump in quickly.
There were also moments where the sentence would end and there was maybe an attempt to have a back and forth between them, obviously because the mics, they weren't able to do that. And then there would be another question.
It wasn't the Biden, you have to use your time effectively. And unfortunately, the president did not do that.
I'm going to pick up on that. I mean, there was a question asked about what are you going to do for blacks and which black voters, which is a constituency that Biden is in terrible jeopardy of losing. He finishes his statement and the moderator, I forget which one, says you have 49 seconds left. Basically, almost half of your 2 minutes. Then he's asked about Social Security, and I think it was Dana says, you have 82 seconds left. I mean, he wasn't able to even fill the 2 minute time he was given where the other guys might go up to talk about black voters and protecting Social Security.
And not to, I don't speak on behalf of black voters, but that was a great example of an issue where both of them sounded just like wild. What is the policy? What is a black job and a black child care? It was like, what is happening? It was very similar to the end when they started going off about golf. Why? I mean, those are those moments where I think as a voter, you're just like, these are the options. And it doesn't feel great.
One of the number one concerns that you hear from parents in this country. Parents have to quit their jobs because it's less expensive for one person to not work instead of having to pay for childcare. Neither of them gave a substantive answer on that. They were both answering questions on very different topics. I mean, Chris and I turned to each other and said, this was a question about childcare costs.
A lot of clumsy response.
451, you've been watching the this commentary?
Biden campaign agreed to that. They
I was watching clips of it, yeah.
by how that first
pretty
debate
epic.
in 2020
Yeah,
went.
so it looks
on
like
this
a
issue,
controlled
and he
demolition, man. Like they're
not
it is.
using his time
Oh, yeah.
effectively with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
With those times.
Politico had theirs ready to go, brother. As
I mean,
soon
Trump
as it was
out
over,
3
that
times
shit
he
dropped.
would accept
Bang! It
results
was
of the
that was it.
2024 election. Obviously, a critical question.
Politico's their
President
playbook
Biden
publication.
sought
That's
to
how they tell you
overturn
where
the
they're going, and they
Here,
called
was
it dismal,
indicted
bro. It's
and had his
over.
mugshot taken about 3 miles from where we're sitting right now, and that was not a moment that became a point of focus. It was like watching a debate with someone who is not a convicted felon and is not also under all of these criminal charges. And I think that is a question of why President Biden himself, who brings it up in other moments, did not use it more effectively. They used it in the one moment where he brought up Stormy Daniels.
They
as
told
well,
him not to.
having
They told him not to do it. I
another
promise you.
surreal moment in this debate. I don't think that that's ever been uttered on a presidential debate stage, but it was something that you see President Biden talk more about from the White House or in front of donors.
Even
and closed
Trump's
door
attempt to
events.
spin January 6th, I just thought, oh, here we are in one of the most bizarre moments, right? The idea that actually on January 6th, there was a lot of good things happening. And if you just think back to that time, it was just so sort of a wild way to spin that. And again,
I thought it was a
Biden's
pretty
not,
effective way to spin that.
well, it would be less if the president could respond to it.
Right, yes.
But
that's exactly right.
But Chris, he goes through 6 days of preparation at Camp David.
More than that.
And they know the
It was
rules.
more than a week.
Okay, so more than a week. They know the rules. He practices with the mics. He knows every one of these questions is coming. And yet he couldn't fill the
Whoa!
I'm sorry, what'd you just say?
That's crazy.
He had a cold, wasn't feeling well. I mean,
Clip
as you
that,
expect, that
somebody.
came out early on in the debate.
Dementia and Gavin Newsom trending on X right now.
Preparation and this being the outcome.
Honestly,
here it goes.
The question answers itself. He wasn't capable of doing any better than he did. He had all.
prepared to not go over the 2 minutes.
That he was incapable tonight on the biggest of stages that he sought. He, in effect, dictated, and with all of that preparation, he was incapable of doing better than he was. And you can't come back from that. You can't be on a stage where tens of millions of Americans watched you and come up empty. And that's what he did tonight.
He almost seemed a bit nervous at the beginning, Audie.
We could read all kinds of things into the facial expressions and the utterances, but I think at the end of the day, we heard the partisan panel start to wistfully look in the air and talk about what if he wasn't on the ticket, and I think that kind of language and the kinds of things that you're going to see over the next 24 hours is really going to be the important conversation. This debate was
They're bringing the diversity hire up next. Look at that. They're bringing her in.
Yeah, is she debating?
More seriously. And
no, bro, but they're gonna bring her in to try to put the fire out, I imagine, and that's gonna be another word salad.
Joe Biden don't make that decision on
Nah,
their own.
this is a fire they're not going to try to put out. They're really going to fucking replace it.
And so weakened. There were a group of people that came to
They already knew they were
in
going to.
August of 1974 and said, you know what?
No,
you got to leave. You have 4 votes in the Senate, and you either resign or you're going to be removed.
I'm just talking about the administration, bro. I'm not talking about the media.
Hey, Tweak, turn down CNN just a hair.
It's time to say goodbye.
And they said that President Biden had a cold and that he was recovering from that. I mean, that came about 50 minutes into
we can talk over
He
the
said he had a cold and he was
Obviously, they're passing
recovering.
that
Get the
on
fuck out
background
of
to
here.
reporters who are tweeting it.
Chris Wallace won't shut up about get rid of this motherfucker.
Have never even considered having a Twitter
More
account
or less.
are not going to see that. And it's not really going to help
Zach,
reassure
maybe you need to turn it
voters
down more,
because
brother.
we do live in this moment where President Obama had a really terrible first debate. His own aides will now admit it, that he came off
His own aides.
he wasn't ready, and Mitt Romney surpassed him in that debate. What's different about
Oh,
this
now
is
they're
that voters
admitting
already
Mitt
had
Romney won.
quite high concerns about President Biden's age. And this was a moment they were hoping it would look more like the State of the Union address and how he came out there and how he dealt with the Republicans who were heckling him. Here in this debate, President Trump would give his answer and President Biden would come out and say, that's a lot of malarkey, that's a lot of foolishness. But he didn't have the same demeanor that he did in 2020, where he looked directly at the camera and said, it's not about this. It's about you at home who are having these moments. He wasn't smiling and laughing as much as he was in the first debate. It was a very different demeanor and how he handled Trump. Trump, on the other hand, was not even making eye contact. He wouldn't even look at President Biden or in his direction as he was trying to stick to the messaging, or he would redirect a question about a general of his resigning into Biden and Afghanistan. He was taking those moments.
Detours.
And that is something that the Trump campaign worked with Trump on privately. And I can tell you, obviously, this is the Trump campaign. This is what they're saying. They could not be more thrilled with how tonight went and feel really good about it. And they were nervous going into this debate of how Donald Trump would do. And now they're walking out of it feeling pretty good.
Yeah, certainly maybe didn't expect.
Somebody sent me an emoji from a top person in the Trump campaign, just 4 flames, 4 dumpster fire flames. Another one wrote train wreck. They couldn't feel better about it. And they should feel good about it.
All right.
It was a very good night. And the one thing I will say for Trump, and there's no question, he lied about a lot of stuff.
A lot.
But he also showed real discipline. And, one of the big questions you talked about, unstable versus unfirm, he was not unstable, and he was very controlled even in the lies. But he had discipline.
He called Biden a Manchurian candidate. He lied about late-term
That's part of the debate.
Misrepresented what happened on January 6th as well.
Well, there were many things that were not true, but
it was not a repeat of 2020.
We knew they were going to come with that opinion.
All right, all stay with me for more reaction. Anderson, I know we've got to hear what the White House has to say now.
Yeah, I want to bring in senior White House correspondent MJ Lee, who covers the Biden campaign, how they're seeing this tonight.
He's our CIA analyst.
What are they
You want to
saying?
hear this or go into discussion? I don't care.
Yeah, well, Anderson, obviously a ton of Democrats,
aggressive
voters,
panic.
elected
Oh, there it
officials
is
were
again.
tuning
There's
in
a third
tonight,
time.
really nervous and
Come
really
on now.
desperate for President Biden to give his a performance. And after his performance, it has really set up.
President Xi not happy.
One Democratic congressman I was in touch with who was on Capitol Hill at a watch party with a number of other lawmakers. And that moment early on in the debate where President Biden was talking about the national debt and seemed to lose his train of thought, paused for several seconds, and then gave a confusing answer. He said that when that happened, the entire room was just completely silent and in shock, and that this member's own reaction was that he wanted to jump off of a bridge. And he said that throughout the debate, he and the
Suicide Weekend, anybody?
Dude.
Joe Biden.
We just need Joe to say "Don't jump." Isn't that his thing? Don't jump.
Oh my God.
The offensive, and that seemed to be mostly on the defense. Democrats, he said, are just panicked right now and don't even know what to do. I mean, these are some really devastating reviews for a Biden campaign that really wanted to use tonight to dispel this notion that President Biden is too old for a second term. You and I were just talking about right before the debate how Biden advisors were hoping that for tonight, a lot of Americans would be tuning in and seeing a President Biden that was more than just the 5, 10, 15-second clips that they often see on social media where he does look feeble or older. And now we have another example of the kind of moment that is sure to go viral on social media.
Yes, it will. The media.
Yeah, I'm ripping through fucking X right now.
They have pointed out moments from the debate that they say, landed better for President Biden on January 6th on the abortion issue. They're also saying that for President Trump, when he was being more vicious and being more personally insulting, that wasn't a good look for him. One source familiar with the campaign's thinking said, yeah, the president had a slower start, but he did warm up both on substance and on style.
They put him on defrost right before they brought him out.
I haven't heard a convincing argument or thing on the president's overall either from the White House or the campaign.
MJ, thank you. Holmes has some new reporting.
I love what he said. And let me tell you something else. And then just quit.
And they just cut him off. Yeah, dude, that's great.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No surprise that Donald Trump's team is currently celebrating the outcome of the debate. They believe that Donald Trump won handily, and there's really two reasons for that. One, as Kayla noted earlier, they were nervous going to the debate. They had done a lot of preparation. They had really encouraged Donald Trump to stay on message, but there's always that chance that Donald Trump is going to go rogue.
It even brings you back to how CNN was trying to limit it coming out. Like, even that was part of the game, like to bring more people in. Just to spite them.
Message to not go overtly with the attacks on Joe Biden and his family, to not be too aggressive, and to look hinged, to look like somebody who could be the next president of the United States. They believe that he accomplished that. Now, the other part of this, of course, is what we just heard from MJ. We are hearing Democrats, both privately and publicly, talk about Biden's debate performances. They have been Trump's senior advisors closely monitoring social media, looking at the clips of people saying that Joe Biden looks feeble and weak, talking about the fact that Joe Biden had a number of pauses. They believe that obviously adds to their case that they won the big debate earlier tonight. And in fact, there had been some rumor and speculation that Donald Trump might show up here in the spin room. I spoke to one senior advisor who said, why would he do that when he just has
right now?
Yeah, I'm ripping through stuff right now.
To go out there and do any spinning. They want him to just get in his car and go home and take the win. That's where they are standing right now. And again, they were nervous going into this. They had done extensive preparation, despite the fact that they said that Donald Trump didn't need to prepare. They'd even been watching old video clips.
Wow.
They're very happy tonight on their way to Virginia, where he'll hold a rally tomorrow.
Kristen Holmes, thanks very much. Back here with the team outside the debate hall. Junking. I mean,
Look how many people they have out here.
9.
Number one, we wait.
It's 9.
I would say we should wait. We won't, but we should wait a week and see how this settles out in the polling, particularly in the battleground state polling, particularly among the most important subgroups. What happens right now is I would just say that if the Trump people are running around saying they won the debate, we'll see if that holds up. Biden lost the debate. I don't know if Trump won the debate.
Wow.
The early indications we're getting
what
from
the fuck does that mean?
How does that math work?
Doing dial groups.
That's what I was thinking Kamala was going to say.
Listen, Biden lost the debate, but Trump, he lost the
we
debate
don't have any
too.
evidence before us right now, in the hour after it ended, that Trump gained a lot of new voters. Put it that way, right? Did he hurt himself with the Trump base? Absolutely not. And so that Donald Trump's going to get 40-something. He's going to
come in and threaten him with another COVID jab if they didn't change the narrative.
The main issue, though, is the president of the United States, the incumbent. Again, I don't know that the old rules apply because he's running against the former president, but this is my 10th one of these. And when the incumbent is running, the American people are being asked, keep what you got. Do you like what you got? Stay the course. That was not a stay-the-course performance from a president who, when he walked on stage, knew the fundamentals of this race were already bent against him. And that he had a 38% approval rating, 60+% of the country thinks we're on the wrong track. And as Abby noted earlier, there were already significant doubts about, can you do this for 4 more years? It's the toughest job in the world. And so even in the middle of the debate saying he had a cold, I have a cold. I get it. I get it. That sucks. But he's the president of the United States. When the phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning, the world doesn't matter if you have a cold or not.
And the president did intensive preparation for this debate. I mean, that's the other part of it.
And they signaled
Dude,
that.
there's no way that Snopes shit came out
all of his top
a week ago just to have it fucking brought up and blow up, dude. There's no fucking way.
Here saying, sorry, Vandal. He had to solidify.
I'm telling you, they didn't want Joe Biden to bring up the felon thing, but he did it anyway.
Enough for him to beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump can stay just where he was the last time around. And if Joe Biden erodes so significantly that it's less than what Donald Trump got, Donald Trump wins. Okay, that's how the math works. So he has to bring back all of those people, whether they're Democrats or not, who cast a ballot for him. Was he able to do that tonight? I don't think there's anybody who thinks that he was.
Well, I tell you, I'm starting to get the pushback now from people who are not in agreement with us. I just want to get some. Hey, listen. I
didn't watch the debate.
No, I actually did.
Oh, wow.
A major black leader just called me and kicked my butt, and so I just want to give the other side, which is that
I gotta go.
Cry. I want to cry.
Guy overboard. Even if they had a guy that had felony convictions,
even if they had, they're talking about
correction.
The Harry J. Sissons, those
liar,
cunts,
their guy overboard, and there are people who are angry.
And then pulled the rug out on that ass.
Leaders are already abandoning Joe Biden, and they're saying that
there's already memes on Twitter. Bro.
He's older.
Oh yeah,
but what he stands for, man,
over.
What he was,
the grift is over.
That's right. Wrote out what he said. You didn't listen to it. The substance of what he said is true. The Democratic Party. And there's a pushback beginning to say the Democratic Party is too scared to stand up for Joe Biden. Other people will.
Yeah, but I give Van. Can I just respond?
Yes, sir.
I believe this. I think when we see sort of voter surveys and so on of people who watch the debate and so on, they're going to be a lot different than you might think, because I don't think Donald Trump had a great night, and I think on substance Biden did fine, but that wasn't the big question about Biden. But here's the thing. people can love Joe Biden. Lots of Democrats do. I worked with him. I have deep respect for him.
Yes, sir.
But as you said earlier, the stakes are enormous. You said democracy's on the line.
It is.
And so it's less an issue about loyalty to one person than to the idea of.
Oh, man.
I just want to give a voice to other folks.
Let me jump in quickly on this point that Van just made, because one of the reasons I started this voter project is Washington is often wrong about these things. So I'm always skeptical when all the elites in Washington or the people who live comfortable lives in Washington. This conversation is not just Washington. I want to make that clear tonight. This is Democrats across the country who are watching, Democrats who live in competitive areas, Democrats who love Joe Biden. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, for sure.
The other question I would just raise is, so there has to be a conversation with the president after tonight, right? Some of those conversations will be from people who say, sir, you should step aside. But if you want to take Van's position out there, the main organizing impetus in the Democratic Party is keep Donald Trump in retirement, right? Keep him out of the White House. So if you won't step aside, what are the conversations about what to do about tonight? Those will have to happen. So my question for the people who know best, and the one who knows the best is sitting right over there, is who can have that conversation?
Yeah, who's the only person in the party?
I mean, Bill Clinton or Barack Obama might call him, but I don't know if that would matter.
Look, when Van said black leaders,
listen.
Yes, Jill Biden is the single most important person in terms of sharing criticism, in terms of being direct.
But will she?
The opinions. Oh, absolutely, yes.
Oh, she's changing his diaper.
There will be serious conversations within.
I was hoping they're going to name drop somebody.
People like Mike Donnellan, people like Steve Ricchetti, people like Anita Dunn, who will have very direct conversations with the president. He is not somebody who shies away. He is absolutely, I think as was said earlier, he's absolutely somebody who is stubborn and resilient, but he's actually not somebody who shies away from having tough conversations and having direct feedback. So yes, absolutely. I have to imagine there will be direct discussions with him about how to adjust the campaign for this. But I also think to this point about waiting to see where actual voters land on this is critically important before
Where's Kamala?
Before the elites sitting at this table determine the rest of the
supposed to be coming out.
I think we got to see what voters have to say.
All right.
I just want to say those black leaders that Van was talking about.
Those
black leaders that Van was talking about had to have been Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. Who? Oh, no, you're not going to do this shit. No. Hold on. Refresh. You know, I fucking paid for you. You're not going to cut my fucking stream, motherfuckers.
Sorry, it doesn't work anymore, everybody.
NGK Insulators. Surprising ceramics.
I got this $1,000 camera.
All right, we'll see about that. Listen, that
this $1,000 camera.
The black leader. I had a black leader, a prominent black leader. That's Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton.
iPad Pro sold for less than $34.
Come on.
And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only.
Is Al Sharpton, bro?
Don't say that. You're fucking torching Joe Biden.
And shipping is always. Go to DoorDash.com right now.
The fact that blacks are still going to bat for him is amazing.
Around the world.
What's wrong with the blacks?
Inroads across the world with Kung Ho Tire.
What I love about it is all the paid shills like the Sissons and the Krasensteins of the world is they were doing the big song and dance, and then the mainstream media fucking abandoned that ass. And it exposed the entire thing, bro. It's so beautiful.
I want to see somebody. Can we? Hold on, I got X up. Let me bring up a Kraston scene. Should I hold on? Let me look for Harry Sisson. I want to see what he wrote.
Oh man, he was in full cope mode, man.
Harry. Oh, now he doesn't come up. Here, okay, here we go. Harry Sisson. Boom, here's no. Biden had a cold tonight. Oh my God. Hold on a minute. I'm bringing it over. No, I can't bring it over. Shit. Hold on.
Oh man, the Young Turks are going in on him too.
He had to take naps. He had to take naps between speaking because it was cold.
Why is this not working? Why is that not working? Why is my fine?
Did anyone else hear Trump call Biden Brandon?
Yeah, but was he talking?
No,
about
he was
Brandon?
actually referring
to another Brandon.
I don't care. That was classic.
Yeah,
bro.
it was good.
Biden had a cold tonight, and thus his voice was raspy, but people think him having a cold is a reason to vote for Trump. The convicted felon, the proven sexual abuser, the proven fraudster.
Holy
if we
cow.
elect Trump and forget him trying to destroy America, then shame on us.
He must not got his last marching orders.
I'm telling you,
CNN
bro.
just told it like it is. Donald
get him
Trump
tomorrow.
wrote the fact check.
Newsom's on deck. He'll be on tomorrow, dude. He'll be on shit tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, you think so? That's what it seems like.
I
It's
think
the only reason he's here.
Who wants to take that bet with me about the 20?
I'm gonna. We're sitting here at 11:30. I'm gonna call it. If you guys want to, hang out in the Jitsi and still chop it up, that's good. But I'm going to.
Yeah, now I'm gonna head out too.
We'll go to bed.
Yeah,
man.
I'm probably gonna bounce off the Rockies.
Is it 11?
Right on.
Thanks for the stream, man.
Oh, it's
This is
yeah,
a
dude.
smaller.
Yeah.
You're on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's a good time. All right, I'll
Yeah,
see you guys
brother.
later.
Y'all have a good night.
Yep.
Thanks,
easy.
brother.
See ya.
Wow, and there it is. So, last thoughts before I take off. Seems to me that get out of here. Seems to me that that whole thing was set up so that we could justify getting rid of fucking Biden. A lot of things seem to be set up in advance, like the Snopes thing. Would explain his weird behavior, and my prediction is that's the reason they had Gavin Newsom there. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Shout out to Ranger. Ranger fucking killed that one, dude. Ranger killed that one. All right. I will see you guys on Sunday. Talk to you later.